Hello, this is Liberty Mark 222. I just watched 2 hours of Aaron Russo's America from Freedom to Fascism. And it starts out and he talks about how he wants to find out if there's a law saying whether or not we have a law that makes us pay an income tax. And he finds out pretty quick that there is no law that says that we have to pay an income tax. As a matter of fact, the framers of the Constitution made sure that we didn't have direct taxation. It's supposed to go through the states, and he said that there's two types of taxes. There's a direct and an indirect. The direct has to be apportioned equally, and it has to go through the states also, which means that everybody has to pay the same tax if it goes through the federal government. And also, if it's indirect, it can be like an excise tax, like you're paying gasoline taxes or something that you're using. So he interviews Joe Bannister. He talks to a whole number of people. Ron Paul. And he keeps going down through this rabbit hole and shows how the Federal Reserve has taken over control basically of the government. That there's no difference between the Democrats and Republicans, that they're really being controlled by this central bank that issues the money. And in the end, he's saying basically we're just a what do you call it, fascist type of government. That we have no constitution, and he advocates fighting against it to try and get back the Constitution and stuff. And you know, our lives, the things that are really worth fighting for, is something that you're going to lay your life down for. You're going to lay down your life for your family, for your wife, for your children, for your faith. Many people have laid down their lives for their country. We've fought. You read the accounts of the Civil War, how just thousands of people died every day, like in Gettysburg, or when they're fighting the Battle of the Wilderness, or Spotsylvania, or Sharpsburg. I mean, there's all these battles where basically Americans were lined up without any armor, without any protection, shooting point blank at each other, and just thousands of people were just dying every day, tens of thousands. So people will lay down their lives for their country. And we have a dictatorship in this country, basically. That's what this Aaron Russo is saying. And they're trying to make us slaves. And basically, we are slaves. We're slaves and serfs to these central bankers that own this country, that own... They definitely own the Congress. But we don't even know who these rulers are. They put the face of our government on as the rulers, but it's not. They're just puppets. All the Congress, all of the Senates, and is just they're little puppets for these corporate and the Federal Reserve banker masters. And who controls them? It's some other entity that is some demonic New World Order satanic beings that are controlling this world. And Satan even said that to Jesus. After Jesus got out of the wilderness, he had fasted for 40 days. One of the temptations that Satan had, he says, he showed him all the empires of the world and all the glory thereof. And he says, here, I'll give it to you if you just fall down and worship me. And so Satan himself, he knows he's controls the whole world system, all the governments. But also God, he controls all the world also. When Nebuchadnezzar, he lifted himself up and he said that he was so great and look at all the power that I have. God cut him down and he made him graze in the fields like a cow. And he says his hair grew like eagle's feathers, whatever that means, you know. And so just to show that who rules the universe, who really rules the world. So God ultimately rules the world. But right now, Satan has control of all the kingdoms of the world. He has control over all the people. And it's been that way since the Garden of Eden. You look at the different evil empires of dictators and men, murderers and bloodthirsty men that have ruled through the universe, through the history of mankind. I mean, it seems like the more evil and disgusting the person is, the more bigger empire they've ruled. You look at like Ivan the Terrible, how he would just awful, disgusting person. I look at Joseph Stalin or Mao Zedong, just these horrible people. Pol Pot, Hitler. What evil these dictators are is just it's just amazing to me. You know, if they're going to rule, they it's like Satan. He puts his most evil people in charge of ruling. And I remember reading accounts of Hitler. It says when he would give his speeches, they said he would get pumped up. It's like a fire hose that was filled up, and he'd get this gleam in his eyes, and he would just be so animated when he would talk, when he'd give his speeches. And they say that he was being controlled by some high-level demon, some arch-demon. And I believe that. I believe Satan just possesses these people. You have high-level demons that are controlling these people. And so they're just going to be utterly ruthless and just evil, bloodthirsty, no mercy, just the most devious, wicked, very intelligent, and incredibly smart, ruthless, you name it. So how do we as Christians fight against these things? We don't have the resources. We don't have the armies. We don't have the physical ability to fight against the finances that these men have, the armies and the police and all this. It's a sobering thought thinking about these things. You know, Aaron Russo, he's talking about, having protests, bringing people to Washington. You know how many dollars, how much money people spent trying to change, like Roe versus Wade, just to their ruling that they made abortion legal in this country, which is crazy, But to overturn it, we can't overturn it. We got abortions like crazy in this country. People have fought against these things and fought against these things. What about pornography? We've been fighting against pornography in this country for forever, and but still we got an avalanche of filth and smut all over the internet, all over I mean, you don't need porno movie theaters anymore. It's right there on the internet. Um, it's like you can't fight these things on the top, but we as individual Christians, how do we fight these things? It's a fight of faith. And Paul says we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and rulers and high places. And he says we're not ignorant of their devices. We're not ignorant of their tactics, of what they're doing. And these governments, they're going to be totalitarian. They're going to be wicked. When Paul was writing, he was that was during the time of Nero and I guess the time of Nero. These people were. You look at Nero, just what a wicked, totalitarian, evil person he was, but look at how the church was able to grow. Look how the believers increased so rapidly. Our goal is not to save this government. Our goal is not to have freedom. Jesus said, if I make you free, you should be free indeed. Our goal is not to have American freedom. It's an utter illusion. We're not going to have freedom that way. Our freedom is from Christ. It's from freedoms from the shackles of sin. Our freedom is His freedom. And our freedom's going to be in heaven. He says we walk in heavenly places already, right now. And he writes in Romans, he says, if God be for us, who can be against us? If He who spared not His own Son, how does he say that? He's going to be for us. He's going to fight for us. He's for us to succeed. But we have to be fighting the right battles, and we have to be aligned with His goals. What's God's goals? His goal is not to reestablish the American Constitution. It's a beautiful document. I really admire what was written in there. It's a real representation of the ideal. One of the best documents ever written as far as human government. But we're at a different stage. We're not living in that age anymore. The Constitution's been destroyed in every possible way. And in a sense, what are we hoping for? Are we hoping for this world, to have a perfect world, or are we hoping for a future heavenly home? I think that's what we need to look at. Part of me, I don't want to be part of this American system. I don't want to be here when they put in martial law, when they arrest everybody, when they start killing people that disagree with them. But Satan, I was reading this account of these Nazi concentration camps. And it's like Satan he doesn't want to just kill people. He wants to destroy their souls. And even the Jewish people, okay? I don't believe Jewish people are going to heaven. Jesus said He is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. And if Jewish people are going to reject Jesus, they're not going to go to heaven. But even then, even so, I look at how the Nazis did everything they could to destroy the spirit of these Jewish people. Everything they could do to humiliate them and just break them. And I'm sure these concentration camps that they got for us, for the American people, these are going to be 10 times worse than the Nazi concentration camps. And I don't want to be part of it. I don't want to go through that kind of pain. Nobody does. Nobody wants to be subjected to that kind of humiliation, that kind of just torture, pure torture. I don't know how anybody can survive, could go through it. I mean, in Revelation, Book of Revelation talks about how all these believers are going to have, they'll be crying out underneath the throne. They were beheaded. But it's not going to be that simple. Like, oh, so you're going to deny, you're going to stand up for Christ, so we're just going to behead you. It's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be like, okay, well, we'll just go along with that. You don't have to suffer anything. No. They're going to torture us. They're going to kill us. They're going to do everything they can to just break us. And I'm not prepared for that. Like, who's prepared for that? Who could be prepared for something like that? I don't want to see my children killed. I don't want to see family and friend destroyed. I don't want to see this country destroyed. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen because they've been given the power. And we can't fight back. It's like no matter how much we fight, the more... It's like a boa constrictor. It seems like they just tighten more and more and more. And they're just squeezing the life out of us. And they're getting ready to devour us. So it's like a dragon that's part boa constrictor that's just eating us alive. Oh Lord, help us, God. Anyway, so this is kind of my thinking of Aaron Russo's From Freedom to Fascism. Thank you.